It's a spring Saturday in the Garden State as a rivalry is renewed at Sherrerd Field. Princeton and Syracuse have met 4 times in the NCAA championship game. Today they meet for the first time in a decade as the 15th-ranked Tigers host the Orange. Hi, everybody. Alongside Dave Giancola, I'm Cody Chrusciel. Dave, these teams haven't played since 2013. They've only met 29 times, so not exactly a lengthy history, but some of those matchups among the greatest games in the history of the sport.
You're absolutely right, Cody. This is a rivalry that sparked a generation to first pick up a lacrosse stick, and a lot on the line for the Syracuse Orange today. 4 huge games, including this one to finish their season, all away from home. They essentially need to win out for a shot at the tournament. And for Princeton, they're going to have to go through the Ivy League and the Ivy League tournament to get into the NCAA tournament, but they cannot have their winning ways slowed down today.
Today we'll also get a look at 2 of the top young attackmen in the country. For Syracuse, the nation's #1 recruit, Joey Spallina, has lived up to the hype.
It was quite a hyped recruiting process for Joey Spallina. He stays in his home state and goes north from Long Island up to Syracuse, leading the team in scoring. Beware when he gets above goal line extended. He can be electric.
And for Princeton, sophomore Coulter Mackesy, the Ivy League Player of the Week, 2 weeks running.
You knew he was good as a freshman, and he's followed it up quite well in his sophomore season. 2 weeks ago against Yale, 8 goals and 2 assists to spark a huge victory for Princeton. And last week against Brown, diversifies the game a bit, 3 goals and 3 assists. He's truly turning into the quarterback of this Tiger offense.
For Syracuse, senior Will Mark, the transfer from LIU, first season as the starter for the Orange. What a season it's been for him. He's tied for 2nd in the nation in save percentage, 9th in the nation in saves per game. Comes in with a .578 save percentage. His last 3 games, he's been tremendous. Michael Giancola for Princeton. He's in his 4th game as the starter since taking over at halftime a month ago against Rutgers. You can see that save percentage, .614. So we get set for the opening faceoff. Kobe Ginder for the Princeton Tigers. And it'll be Jack Fine for the Syracuse Orange. Syracuse wins the opening draw. Saam Olexo carries it into the offensive end for the Orange. And we're underway on what's a really nice Saturday for lacrosse. Olexo across the front, and after the faceoff win for the Orange, they're on the scoreboard 15 seconds in.
That's one way to get things going in a game that this coaching staff and teams believe is a playoff game. Win the opening faceoff, take it down with the long pole, and the bouncer beats Giancola, and the Orange go up 1-0 here in Princeton. What a start for the Orange.
4th goal of the season for Saam Olexo, the junior from Annapolis. He's 2nd in the ACC in caused turnovers, but goal number 4, point number 6. Faceoffs will be interesting to watch here today. Neither team has done a great job this season. This time a whistle against the Orange. Possession awarded to the Tigers. For Syracuse, they brought in a transfer from Canisius, Johnny Richusa. He was their primary faceoff man. Up until a couple weeks ago, Jack Fine has taken 49 draws now the last 3 weeks after taking 45 up to that point. Shot comes in. That one gets the pipe as a flag comes in from the top side, and Princeton retains possession.
Flag down on the field. Looks like Sam English took a shot. He's coming off the field, but Princeton retains possession, so no whistle yet. But a Syracuse Orange player is down, so we will get a stoppage in play.
Flag came in against Syracuse, and then for the Orange, Landon Clary, who's getting the start on defense, went down on the turf. English taking a big hit.
But Clary delivered the hit, but a bit wobbly after it, and English came off the field after it as well.
Clary was a starter the first 7 games on defense. Bill Dwan, freshman. Billy Dwan had started the last 4. Clary getting back into the lineup, and now he's being helped off to the sideline by the training staff.
Got to think after seeing that he's got to come off and go through some sort of protocol as we take a look at the Princeton attack. Lucas Stannett, who's come on hot the last few games. Jack Ringhofer continues to start on attack. Take a look at him for some off-ball movement and onto the midfield.
Christian Ronda, Sam English, Alexander Vardaro. Vardaro going over 100 career points in a 4-goal victory against Brown at home last weekend for Princeton. Man up, 6 of their last 8 in those last 2 victories, including 1-for-1 last week. Trying to find number 14, Jake Stevens, on the doorstep with the pass out of his reach.
Yeah, the skip pass was a good thought, but Stevens unable to come up with it. Good job by Syracuse's defense, keeping sticks up in the passing lanes, not making it easy for Princeton to score 6 on 5. We're going to get an offsides on the orange, and the orange and black. Princeton will take over.
Princeton takes over with 33 seconds left on the man up.
Yeah, so you give it right back, still 6 on 5. Stevens back on the field. Vardaro, number 19, on the field as well. A great pure shooter. Started the year 9 for 10 in shooting.
Stevens, a second-line midfielder. He's out there, number 39, Weston Carpenter, but they go back to old reliable Coulter Mackesy. He's been the Ivy League Player of the Week the last 2 weeks, had 8 goals against Yale, 6 points last week against Brown, and he ties it up with a man-up tally here in the first.
And 2 scores. You think Vardaro's going to take that with time and room. He draws the defense, pops it over to 91, and Mackesy does what Mackesy's been doing, and that's putting the ball in the back of the cage, and when 91 gets hot, it can be scary for the defense.
Even with that 8-goal, 10-point performance, Matt Madelon felt that Yale did a really good job of moving him off that lefty wing, the spot he's most comfortable.
Yeah, he's been forced off of his comfortable spot, that lefty wing, but he's proven that he can be effective in other positions on the field, and we get a procedural call off the face-off, and the Orange get an easy possession. So tied up early in this one, and what a crowd we have on hand here in Princeton as well.
31st goal, 42nd point for Coulter Mackesy, the sophomore, one of 7 players on the Princeton roster out of the Brunswick school. See a lot of Brunswick guys, and then 8 total players in this game out of Culver, 5 for the Tigers, 3 for the Orange. 1-1 the score for Syracuse. Lowering the shoulder, stick side high, out of the stick of the redshirt sophomore Owen Hiltz. Giancola, this first save of the day. Something to keep an eye on. Both of these goalies do a tremendous job of making the save cleanly and then starting the push up the other way. Pedersen returning the favor the other way, stick side high on the transfer wheel mark.
It's a great point and something to keep an eye on. Both teams that like to push transition and goalies that can help them do that with quick outlet passes.
Finally, a nice day for college lacrosse here in Princeton. This is the Tigers' 6th home game of the season. I think last Saturday against Brown, we saw just about every season here.
Yeah, started dark and rainy, ended one of the most beautiful days we've had this year. Today, a little chilly, but the sun is out, and that has not stopped a ton of people from coming out for this one.
Luke Rhoa takes a tumble, draws some contact. Play on the call, they get it back out to the midfield, and Jackson Birtwistle puts the Orange back on top. 21st goal for the redshirt sophomore from Pennsylvania.
It's a beautiful shot, and it's a beautiful pass from Joey Spallina behind the cage. He missed that one. Spallina was able to restart behind the cage, get it up for time and room. Birtwistle puts it home.
21 points, 21 goals on the season for Birtwistle, who's so dangerous. He's a midfielder, but he's a 42% shooter in his career, 2nd in the nation behind his teammate Joey Spallina in man-up scoring. Clean face-off win for the sophomore out of Roslyn, New York, Jack Fine. He'll kick it back out to Cole Kirst, the transfer from Lehigh. Of course, the name Kirst playing in the Garden State, not exactly unfamiliar.
The Kirst family, legends in the Garden State. Their father, a tremendous player at Rutgers in his day, and a fantastic high school coach. Fortunately passed away. His son's doing big things on the Division I stage.
Yeah, CJ up at Cornell right now is a sophomore, the nation's leading goal scorer. 2-1 Syracuse on top. Orange trying to extend that lead. Freshman Michael Leo. Quick spin move. That's another first-year player, Finn Thomson. So we talked about Joey Spallina, the #1 recruit. That's Thomson from Leo, that freshman connection to make it 3-1.
Take a look at this. Leo does a nice job of leaning into the defender to create space. He pops out, gets his hands free, keeps his head up, looks inside. And then Thomson, with the quick hands, gets free, good movement, stick side high against Giancola.
Between this touted freshman class and a host of transfers, they've got 10 transfers on the roster. Nearly 80% of their scoring coming from players who weren't on the field last year.
How about this? Syracuse playing a little make it, take it.
Mark with a clean face-off win. He'll set up Cole Kirst. 3 in a row for the Orange to make it 4-1 here early.
We've talked about a lot of youngsters. This time it is the grad student, Cole Kirst. Tremendous career at Lehigh. Takes the grad year under Gary Gate at Syracuse, and he's had a huge impact, as we said, just like every member of the Kirst family has pretty much on every team they've played on.
Princeton without their starter in the face-off ex, Tyler Sandoval, who was a big reason they got to the Final Four last year. Neither of these teams has done a great job winning face-offs, but so far today, 4-1 Orange lead in that category. 4-1 Orange lead on the scoreboard.
It's going to be McMeekin in there for the Tigers trying to solve Syracuse at the X, but cannot. And that is going to be huge for Syracuse if they can have a dominant day at the face-off X. Neither team has been truly dominant this season, but that'll go a long way today. But what a turnover at midfield.
Avila's got it up from Cook. He got it trail checked away, and the Tigers causing the turnover.
And the Tigers quickly down 3, so a very important possession here to keep their offense clicking, get some momentum back.
Bo Pedersen, the cause turnover, number 23, one of the top defensive midfielders in the country, as we get our first look in a couple of weeks at number 5, Alex Slusher, running out of the box for the first time since 2020 when he was a freshman. Slusher, number 5, running with the second midfield today. He was the second leading scorer for the U.S. national team at the under-21 juniors. Shot on the doorstep, stand it off the mark, and Syracuse there for the backup.
Syracuse has been hustling at the face-off X, and now to the end line. Great job thus far by the Orange. You can tell the sense of urgency that they came into Princeton with today. And you talk about Slusher, it's been a few weeks. He was in a sling. And talking to the coaching staff, they're going to run him out of the box because you can simulate it all you want in practice, but you got to see a guy get hit to know really how he's feeling on game day. So we'll see how much we see of number 5. Princeton takes over, and Mackesy gets things started for the Tigers.
Second straight possession for Syracuse, ending in a caused turnover. Stevens running out of the box with Tommy Barnds and Sean Cameron in the second midfield line. Bouncer from Mackesy.
No backup for Princeton. Wow, they do
Cameron
win it.
with a hustle down the sideline, and he wins that foot race. What a play by number 11.
Unreal. I didn't think Princeton had a chance to win that race, and Cameron comes out of nowhere.
Looked like Caden Cole, number 33, was going to be the only player within a few yards of that one, but it'll stay with the Tigers. Top of the box, Coulter, Mackesy inverting. Tommy Barnds slips below the defense, turned aside by Will Mark.
And Barnds would love to have that one back. Mark actually guessed wrong, but Barnds put it right into his gut.
Syracuse right back in with a 4-1 lead. It was 1-0 Q's off the opening face-off win. Then the Tigers tied it, but since then 3 in a row for the Orange. A little bit of a different look at defensive midfield. Number 25, Michael Kelly, checks in for his first shift. No Luke Anderson today for the Princeton Tigers. Owen Hiltz trying to center it. Sets up Griffin. Cook in the midfielder scores the 4th straight for Syracuse. Fifth-year senior, he's a Syracuse native, and that's his 8th goal of the season.
Syracuse doing a really good job of keeping their heads up, finding guys in the crease, and then it's a quick release that's so hard to track for Gianfrancaro because the stick is hidden, and then all of a sudden it's not. And by the time Gianfrancaro can find it, it's too late as the Tigers take a timeout to talk things over.
4 straight goals for Syracuse. They've taken a 1-1 game and turned it into a 5-1 advantage in their first contest against the Princeton Tigers since 2013. 5-1 Orange lead here midway through the first. These teams have met 4 times in the NCAA title game. 1992, a double overtime Princeton victory. Andy Moe's game-winning goal. 2000, Syracuse by a 13-7 margin. Then again a year later in overtime, B.J. Prager from Ryan Boyle. Syracuse, the first of 3 straight 1-goal victories to win that national championship. Just a remarkable run, 90s into the early 2000s by these 2 programs. From 1992 to 2004, either Princeton or Syracuse won every NCAA title except for 2. The stat I love, you take that 92 to 03 span, Princeton in the NCAA tournament 4-6 against Syracuse, 21-0 against everybody else.
Those games, some of the best we've ever seen, and legends in each one of those photos.
Mick Meakin, the freshman, a Ringhofer, somehow maintains the handle, gets it to stand it, and now the Tigers will settle in on the attack. 4 straight goals by Syracuse. The Orange had a 1-0 lead, and then Princeton tied it on the goal by Mackesy late on the man up. Since then, 4 in a row for Gary Gates' squad.
Here's Mackesy.
Mackesy drawing Nick Kakemo, the Yale transfer. Low shot, kick save, number 6 in the early going for Will Mark, the transfer from LIU. Back out to the midfield, Christian Ronda carries in for Princeton. Short stick matchup for Christian Ronda against Max Rhoa. Mackesy initiating from X, up top Stanit. Tall lefty over to Slusher, gets the hands free, and that's the Alex Slusher we haven't seen in a while as he comes back from the injury.
They've missed Alex Slusher being in uniform, and he makes an immediate impact here today when they needed it most. Down 4, you need a spark. One of the leading scorers last year, hasn't gotten hot yet this year, and today's a great day if he wants to heat up. Number 5 goes stick side against Will Mark and gets another one for the Tigers, now down 3. But back to the face-off X we go, where the Tigers are going to have to figure things out. Great job, though, by Slusher.
Slusher just his 6th goal of the season. He has missed the last 2 games after starting the first 6. Last year, 46 goals for Princeton. That's the 5th most in a single season in program history. Carried that over into the summer, the U.S. under-21 national team. Brennan O'Neill was their leading scorer. Alex Slusher was 2nd.
It's amazing. You see what Brennan O'Neill's doing at Duke this year. Blue Devils having a tremendous season in the ACC. We'll talk about the ACC throughout the game. Syracuse in last place right now in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Just a 5-team conference as Syracuse turns it over for the 4th time here in the first quarter, so the Tigers trying to climb back into this one. Only 5 teams, so no conference tournament, no automatic qualifier. You would assume that unless one of those teams collapses, they've got 4 teams in the top 7 in RPI nationally. Syracuse, 2nd season under Gary Gate. This is such a young unit. And the Tigers offside, so they turn the ball over and Syracuse will get it back.
Great job by Giancola gobbling that one up. Spallina on the wing. Let it go with time and space. And here's Vardaro. As the Tigers get it back, Christian Ronda, who can be a spark on offense himself. And here's Slusher. Can he really get going here today?
Haven't seen a ton of Saam English. It's been Ronda, Vardaro, and Alex Slusher in the midfield, at least for that top line.
And English was banged up on that first hit that resulted in the man-up for Princeton.
Christian Ronda gets underneath his man, draws the pipe long, Karam, top sideline, Mackesy in a foot race. Mackesy had a beat on it, but here comes Syracuse cruising up the other way. Nick Kakemo, the Yale transfer, gets it in, and now Syracuse will wait to get the right personnel on the field.
Just a smart job by Kakemo, doing enough to jar that loose from an easy pickup for Mackesy. And just like that, Syracuse back on offense.
10 transfers on this roster, including a starter at every position. Cole Kirst on attack, Alex Simmons in midfield. It's actually the only player on either roster to play against the other. Simmons was a starter when Denver came to Princeton a couple of years ago. Didn't record any points in that game. Nick Kakemo on defense.
Cahal Roberts up against 5'8", 170 Griffin. Cook holding his own. Giancola gives up a rebound, which is rare for number 27. He normally keeps it in his cross, and that rebound does not go the Tigers' way. The Orange pick it back up, and the shot clock resets to 80.
Initial shot came in from another freshman, Rhoa, bidding for his 7th of the season. Jackson Birtwistle has the short stick matchup against Michael Kelly, seeing some extended action without Luke Anderson out there today. Across the top of the box, here's a shot by Rhoa, whistles wide, but backed up by Kirst. Whistle blows, Matt Madelon with some words for one of the officials. And then they'll huddle up quickly.
Shot clock at 60 as Syracuse will take it into the far alley for the restart. Colin Mulshine out there on defense.
So Matt Madelon for Princeton, Gary Gate for Syracuse. Madelon in his 7th season, Gate in his 2nd season at the helm of the men at Syracuse. Had a tremendous run spearheading the women's program, so he's never played or coached against Princeton on the men's side, but he's taken on Chrusciel in the women's lacrosse program a ton. 5-2 Syracuse on top. Pedersen bodies up Birtwistle, and they'll reset out into the midfield with an inverted Kirst.
Really great short stick D from the Princeton Tigers so far. Syracuse slips into the crease, but unable to get it is Birtwistle. The pass goes out, and Giancola will take it in for the Tigers. They will look to clear. Syracuse looks like they're not going to press on the ride at least too much, but they are going to play tight at midfield.
You mentioned Sam English took some contact on that 1-minute unnecessary roughness early from Landon Clary. Clary also hasn't returned in transition. Shot by Ben Finley, bidding for his first career goal. Easy save by Mark. 2-on-1 the other way, and a point-blank save on Spallina.
An easy save on one side of the field and a tough one right there by Giancola, but both goalies get it done. For Finley, not the shot he was looking for. You want to see a bounce shot there, probably from the long pole.
You can see as Spallina spins that one back out to the midfield, a shot he wants back.
Yeah, both players want those shots back.
Across the back of the defense with some time and space, Hiltz dodging downhill, shot save. Right back up top, Michael Leo. Tried the pass on the doorstep, ball down on the turf, scooped up by Hiltz, and Syracuse resets with 50 on the shot clock. Interesting to watch the matchup. Joey Spallina last week against Notre Dame really kept in check by a former Ivy Leaguer. Chris Fake held them to just 1 goal on 3 shots. Today it's Ben Finley who did tremendous work a couple weeks ago against Matt Brandow. Held Brandow scoreless for the first time in his career.
Yeah, Princeton's been bearing down here, getting a little more comfortable on defense, and good saves from Giancola. But Syracuse just seems to maintain possession throughout this one.
On the ride, Michael Leo lashed at Bo Pedersen. Flag is down, free possession for the Tigers.
And Bo Pedersen did a nice job of fighting through that, getting the clear for Princeton. Mackesy holds it, flag down, so Princeton can take some chances here. Try to get within 2 as Ronda sets it up top.
It was 1-0 Syracuse. Princeton scored a man-up goal. Then it was 4 straight for the Orange before the goal by Slusher, running out of the box for the first time in a couple seasons.
And there's not a lot of tape on Alex Slusher coming out of the box because we haven't seen it for a long time, so tough to prepare for his skill set coming from a different angle.
He did that 2020, that shortened 5-game season when Michael Sowers was here on the attack. Vardaro splits the defense, finds Ringhofer. What a goal for the orange and white. What does Jack Ringhofer bring? He can move off ball, and boy did Vardaro find him.
He did a really nice job of cutting behind the defense along the crease, and a little pirouette of sorts right on the crease, and a nice change up to the far side beats Will Mark, and a huge goal for the Tigers to get them within 2 after they took a huge blow by going down big early in this one.
Jack Ringhofer and Lucas Stanett both got their first career starts 2 weeks ago, and Princeton really took it to Yale. 23-10 was the final in that one, and then they both played well last week in a 4-goal victory against Brown. So Matt Madelon, Jim Mitchell is offensive coordinator. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Ringhofer's got his 5th. Meanwhile, a whistle against the Tigers gives it back to Syracuse with a 2-goal lead here late in the first.
Yeah, Nick Meakin pushed it forward, but he went early, so Syracuse gets their 7th face-off win to just 2 for the Tigers, and that's been the story of possession thus far, and a big reason why Syracuse has a 2-goal lead.
No Tyler Sandoval for the Tigers. He was above 50% last year, right around 53%. He suffered an injury, second face-off of the game against Yale a couple weeks ago, a knee injury.
Great two-man game from the Syracuse Orange. Just not a lot of angle for Finn Thomson to do much with, especially with the stick in his right hand there.
This is such a young unit on offense. They've got Kirst and Alex Simmons, the two grad students. The other four starters on offense, underclassmen, and there's a pretty good one. Joey Spallina finally wins that battle. 29th goal of the season for the freshman.
You see the quick feet from number 22. A lot of legends have worn that number, including the head coach, Gary Gate. But he gets in front with the left hand and finishes against Giancola. Not much the goalie can do from there.
Gary Gate has the jersey retired, but not the number retired.
Correct, yes. Semantics, if you will.
Joey Spallina, he's the nation's leader in freshman points. Bryant's Jack Lonzinger came into the day with one more goal. Lonzinger had 29. Spallina before that one had 28. Another face-off win for the Orange, 8-2 in that category, and a timeout taken by Gary Gate with just under 30 seconds to go here in the first quarter.
Really smart timeout as the long pole gets it into the offensive half, but gets into a little bit of trouble. And he looks over at his offensive coordinator, Pat March, and they will talk things over.
Talked about Pat March, one of Matt Madelon's teammates at Roanoke, and one of his best friends, was on the staff at Princeton for a couple seasons. Meanwhile, Gary Gate, his second season at the helm of his alma mater, at least on the men's side. He took over when John Desko retired. Just the fifth head coach in the 108-year history of the Syracuse men's lacrosse program. Had a pretty darn good run on the women's side. 14 seasons, 214 wins. He's won national titles at Syracuse. He's been an indoor lacrosse champion at the NLL level. Won 3 MLL champions, and you talk about college lacrosse, you talk about Gary Gate.
Yeah, and it's a little, I guess, misleading if you just look at the facts without knowing who they're talking about to see that many years on the women's side and then transitioning to the men's side. Make no mistake about it. While he was coaching the women's lacrosse team at Syracuse, he was very involved on the men's lacrosse side of things, just not necessarily at the college level, at the pro level, at the national team level. I mean, Gary Gate is a household name in the game of lacrosse.
It's a little bit strange watching the Syracuse-Notre Dame game last week. You have Gary Gate, who's been as successful on the women's side as anybody the last decade and a half, now on the men's side, and then you had Joey Spallina's father, who's the head coach at Stony Brook, in the building as well. That was a lot of college lacrosse wins on the sidelines.
A lot of legends on that sideline. I don't even think we've mentioned Dave Petramala yet. Oh, by the way, the legendary Johns Hopkins head coach, now the defensive coordinator for the Syracuse Orange. Imagine if Gary Gate and Dave Petramala, Pat March come sit in your living room, want you to play for Syracuse. There's a lot of legends on that couch.
The lacrosse version of Cy Young and Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Dave Petramala talked about Gary Gate. This is the first time he's been on the Syracuse sideline for a men's game against Princeton, either as a player or a coach. Dave Petramala, 20 matchups against Princeton as the Johns Hopkins head coach. They played
White
just about
wins the
every
race.
year up until a couple of years ago.
Takes a shot.
Back the other way, Kikimo saw the opening as the first quarter comes to an end. The high bouncer doesn't get there in time. 6-3 Syracuse doubling up Princeton. The most recent goal by the freshman Joey Spallina.
Great job by Spallina and a great job by Syracuse to open up a 3-goal lead after one quarter in Princeton.
Schedule so far, they've played 9 of their first 11 games at home. Only 2 victories against teams with winning records. You see how tight they've played Maryland and Duke and Johns Hopkins. 3-goal loss against the Terps, 1-goal loss in overtime against this week's #1 team, Duke. And then the schedule from this point forward, 4 games remaining, including today, all of them away from home. Next week, kind of a neutral site game against the Tar Heels, and then Virginia, and then a chance at a redemption against Duke. Realistically, no ACC tournament, no AQs, so realistically, Syracuse needs to win out to have any crack.
They do. They need to win out, and then still no guarantees, but you looked at the schedule. They played some good teams tough, but did not notch those quality W's that you need to guarantee an at-large. So they are up against it, but playing well so far here today as we get the second quarter going. And we'll see, again, McMeekin at the X for Princeton, but no one's been able to solve it. Nice job there by Jack Fine in getting yet another possession for the Syracuse Orange. Again, this is going to go a long way in determining the outcome of this game because needless to say, you can't score unless you can get that ball.
Jack Fine, a sophomore out of Avon Old Farms, took just 45 faceoffs the first 5 games. Took 47 the last 2, and he's been out there for every one today for Gary Gates' squad. It's a position that, we talked to Coach Gate. What do you look for in the transfer portal? We just want to shore up spots where we might be a little bit thin.
Yeah, you got to look at the gaps, then look at the portal and say, I'm not going to force someone into a spot that we have covered. Where do we need people?
Tough angle that time by Michael Leo. Actually, that was Birtwistle as Bo Pedersen was bearing down, but it'll stay with Syracuse with Spallina on the backup.
And just to finish that thought, I mean, if you get a first-team All-American in the portal, you're going to take him and find a place for him. But first things first is shore up the gaps.
Spallina so far has gotten one against Ben Finley. That's been a tough matchup for anyone on attack this season. Told you what Finley, number 10, did against Brandow. Flag flies, though, as Spallina driven down to the turf. Drew the slide. The Tigers had him doubled.
Yeah, nice job by Kelly in coming over. We'll take another look at it. This is where Spallina, we've seen some backhanded shovel goals, no look from that position. So you've got to come over because he's never not a threat to score, even with his back to the goal. Princeton makes the slide, but the penalty is called hold 30 seconds. It's going to be Ben Finley sitting. So 6-on-5 for Syracuse and an opportunity here to go up 4.
Dangerous spot if you're Princeton. Syracuse, the nation's 4th best man-up unit, just a shade under 60%. They're 29 of 49. 3 of 4 last week against one of the top teams in the country, Notre Dame. Shot whistles wide. It'll be Michael Leo there for the backup. 3 times this year they've had 4 man-up goals. They scored 5 against North Carolina, and you're pointing out number 22.
Yeah, Spallina's camping on the crease. You got to stay there. He was open the entire time. Wow, great job by Spallina in staying quiet. But you cannot take your eyes off number 22 if you're the Princeton Tigers. Just camping out, low angle, doesn't matter. He's going to put that home more often than not. That time he gets it done, but he was just sitting there.
Simmons, the grad student, sets up Spallina, the freshman, with his nation-leading 10th man-up goal of the season.
Now, you do only have 5 defenders, so yes, do you need to push towards the side with the ball? But you need eyes in the back of your head when there's a player like Spallina sitting on the crease.
McMeekin wins the faceoff cleanly, gets it into Ringhofer, who had it rocked back, thought about it, but with Princeton down by 4, they'll get their offense on the field. McMeekin stays on, lets it fly. It's a safe shot, and now he'll hustle off and get Alex Slusher into the fray.
Time and room, you got to let it fly. There was some heat on that one, but as you said, no harm, no foul. Princeton with the backup. Here comes Christian Ronda running downhill.
McMeekin, 6'1", 210. He's a true freshman. That's a different load to handle at the face-off X. Vardaro trying to get under the defense. Comes out top side, Ronda. In the middle, Ringhofer. Catch and shoot with a fist pump to get the Tigers back on the board.
You said it earlier, Cody. It's the off-ball movement by number 51, Jack Ringhofer, that makes him so special. He looks at the defense, and if he sees the back of a defender's helmet, he's running past you. So when you turn around, he's not where he was the last time you saw him. And this time, it's in the back of the cage for the Tigers. Great job by Jack Ringhofer in reading the defense and getting the goal. 2nd of the day, 6th of the season.
Ringhofer got his first career start a couple weeks ago against Yale with Alex Slusher out. Last week, 2 goals against Brown. His first career multi-goal game in his 2nd start. Face-off violation. Flag will come in. as it's the third infraction here in the first half.
So not only is Princeton not...
Syracuse, one of the nation's top man-up units, will go right back out on the 6-on-5.
Yeah, so not only are Princeton not winning face-offs, but they're also getting the violation. So it's almost, you know, it's kind of just compounding itself. You're not getting possession. Now you're sitting, and we'll see. Here's Joey Spallina again. The left of your screen, just camping out on goal line extended. Cahal Roberts needs to be head on a swivel. Almost dunked it there, but just too low of an angle. And I think we're going to get interference on Princeton.
I think that was Lazaretto, number 7. Yep. "15 seconds left on the Syracuse man up. They're 1 for 1. That previous goal scored by Stallina, unmarked on the doorstep.
Pedersen now shadowing Spallina, and again, wow, creative shot in the crease, and another penalty. They might get Roberts, and they will. 6 is going to come towards the sideline. We'll get another look at that one and see what the call was. The Princeton faithful do not like the penalty. Cross-check.
Jackson Birtwistle, the man who took the shot, the redshirt sophomore who's got a goal today. Let's take another look.
Take a look, and Roberts' hands were not together even remotely close. It's a good call inside. So Princeton may not like the call, but it was the right one.
Penalty expires on Pedersen. He joins the fray, but that one floats in from Finn Thomson. James had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, John Fricaro was expecting the heat from the middle of the field, and it was a Princeton defender running through the shot that turned it from a fastball to a changeup and from the left side to the right side. So nothing the goalie expected, but everything going Syracuse's way in a must-win game for the Orange. 8-4.
Sports science still a thing? Would love to see the breakdown on that.
Went from 100 miles an hour to 22 miles an hour. We'll just go with 22 since it's Syracuse. That's going to be another flag, or should be, and there is one.
Likely a hold against the Tigers on the face-off win by Jack Fine, who's now won 11 of 14 for the Orange.
Princeton's got to settle down, play disciplined lacrosse.
Razor! Calls on white, 14, hold, 30, shot clock 80.
Stevens, I thought it was
So Stevens
99.
is number 14.
That's 99, the wrong player sitting. Stevens came in late, but a harmless stick check by 14 was not the penalty there.
Syracuse officially today 2 for 3 on the man up as they turn the ball over. They had 4 early turnovers. That's just their second turnover since around the midway point of the first quarter. Tigers have some work to do early in the second. 8-4, doubled up by Syracuse. First meeting between these two lacrosse blue bloods in a decade. 2013, the last time they tangled.
Bo Pedersen will run this one out. The one-man clear, as they call it, for 23 as he hustles. Penalty is killed off. Princeton will go full strength.
Pedersen had the short stick matchup, thought about taking it right at Carter Rice, instead gets it behind the cage. Coulter Mackesy being watched by the sophomore transfer Kakemo. Kakemo originally committed to Yale. He was there for a year and then transferred prior to last season. Slusher out of the box with a head of steam. Slusher with a short stick matchup. He's got a goal already today.
It's a good call, Cody. You got to feed Slusher if he has the short stick matchup. This is a player who's an attackman and is used to having a pole. Mackesy has been quiet today for the most part. A flag. Ball looks loose, but looks like we're going to get a flag. Did Mackesy have possession when that flag was thrown?
Fouls on blue, 3-3, slash, 1 minute. Blue, 3-3, slash,
Caden Cole.
Yeah, slash, not a push. So possession may not necessarily matter.
Cole, the second man in.
Yeah, okay.
Princeton so far today, 1 for 1 on the man up. This is a unit operating at 47%, top 20 in the nation. Pass out to the perimeter for Vardaro was knifed down. Shot, goal. Tigers capitalize with the extra man to pull within 3. That's Jake Stevens, the do-it-all midfielder for the orange and white.
And how about this? The quick release, low to high. Nice job by Mackesy. A little bit of a no-look inside to Mr. Reliable Jake Stevens. He can do it all. He can pick up ground balls, and he can score too. 14 with some energy, and that energy's contagious. The sideline feeling it as the Tigers pull within 3.
Stevens, a 2-time All-Ivy League selection. 12th goal of the season, point number 14 for the Ontario native. One of those 8 players in this game out of Culver Academy. They all won a couple of national championships there. Timeout taken by Princeton. So the Tigers take their second and final timeout here in the first half with 10:13 to go in the second. Princeton gets one back on the first goal of the day by Jake Stevens. It's an 8-5 contest here in the Garden State. Ivy League standings presented by Ariel Investments, an alumni-owned global asset management firm, proud partner of Princeton Athletics for 40 years. Cornell alone atop the standings, 3-0. The Big Red ranked 4th in this week's Inside Lacrosse Media Poll. 7 teams in the Ivy League on the men's side for lacrosse. Columbia doesn't compete, but Columbia will host the tournament. First weekend of May 5th and 7th. A couple of big games going on today. You've got Cornell, an early lead on the road in Cambridge against Harvard, and then a big one between Penn, one of those teams tied at 2-1, and Brown. Surprisingly, Brown 0-2, Yale 0-3.
Yeah, Dartmouth, again, much improved, so no sure things in the Ivy League this year outside of Cornell right now. Still a lot of lacrosse to be played, and likely that Princeton's going to need the AQ through the Ivy League to get in. Mackesy fighting through some trouble, dishes up top.
Mackesy had the short stick matchup, but against a really good one in Brandon Aviles. Back up the field in transition, 2 of the best teams in the country moving the ball from the defensive end to the offensive end. Some contact as Billy Dwan let that one fly. That last name sounds familiar. Billy Dwan, the son of Bill Dwan, who was a longtime assistant under now Syracuse defensive coordinator Dave Petramala at Johns Hopkins. 8-5 Orange on top. They've led by as many as 4. On the doorstep, Spallina able to get a step on Ben Finley, and Spallina's got another one for the Orange. 3rd goal of the day for the freshman on just 6 shots.
He can score in so many ways when he gets above goal line extended. He has some momentum, runs through the stick check from Ben Finley, and he hides his stick. Again, uses his body to hide the stick. Gianfrancaro doesn't know what the release point is going to be until it's too late. He is going to have quite a career. Off to a great start up in Syracuse is Joey Spallina, 31 goals this season.
Princeton goes back to Kobe Ginder at the face-off X. And it'll be Syracuse emerging Max Rhoa with the ground ball off the face-off wing, gets it into Owen Hiltz. Saam Olexo had it for a second, and now they'll get the offense out on the field. Sven Thomson, the freshman midfielder, works it back out to Michael Leo, another first-year player. We told you about 80% of the Syracuse points this year coming from players who weren't here last year. Guys that were either injured last year, are freshmen, or transferred in.
In the last few years with COVID and the years of eligibility and the transfer portal, a lot of familiar names in new places making big impacts across the D1 lacrosse landscape. Billings gets it across.
Pace Billings out there starting for the first time in a while. Came back last week after missing 3 games. Suffered kind of a freak hamstring injury. late in an early season game at home against Georgetown, just trying to chase down a ball behind the cage. Tigers happy to get him back. Billings, Finley, Molshine, the starters on defense for Matt Madelon, and his defensive coordinator, Jeremy Hirsch. Here's Mackesy, gives himself some room to operate. Standing back there to back it up.
Good job by Mackesy of getting to his strong hand. He rolls really well around the defender, gets to that strong left hand, and you know there's a shot coming.
Jake Stevens with time and space tried to get the hands free. Saam Olexo closed the gap.
Great job by Olexo. That poke check right in the chest, right when Stevens was trying to pull a face dodge.
Stanton turns the corner. Mark meets him. Shot clock resets. Ball still down. Tigers have a beat on it with Coulter Mackesy, who takes a slash. If you like flags, this is the game for you.
A lot of flags.
4 penalties against the Tigers. That'll be the 3rd against the Orange as Will Mark covers it up after save number 10 in the first half.
Mark's done a really good job. You can tell he watched a lot of film and knew where the shots were coming from individual players. You see Mackesy takes the slash low on the leg.
Syracuse fouls on number 35.
Billy Dwam, the freshman from Lutherville, Maryland, taking the 3rd Syracuse penalty of the afternoon. Princeton a perfect 2 for 2 with the man advantage. Syracuse 2 for 4. Syracuse, their man down unit, generally pretty good. 73%, 13th best in the nation coming in.
About Vardaro, one of the best pure shooters. They don't need him. Stevens is on the doorstep.
Saw Braden Saracen there, number 36. He was an early season starter on attack. He's a big guy, 6'3", 205. They sort of did the hidden ball trick behind. It was Weston Carpenter coming out with it. And another man-up goal for Jake Stevens.
Yeah, Stevens does a nice job. Look, there's a box inside by the Syracuse defense, and Stevens does a nice job of just splitting the difference. But again, Vardaro has time and room. We haven't said Vardaro's name a lot, but in those man-up situations, if he gets time and room, he can certainly get it done. But that time, Stevens on the doorstep, a lot easier.
2 shots today by Stevens. 2 man-up goals by the senior out of Ontario. Back to a 3-goal contest. Syracuse is led by as many as 4. It seems like Princeton keeps chipping it down to 3, and then the Orange finds a way to answer. Yeah,
the Orange have always had the answer. They're not letting Princeton get that big, big momentum swing.
Luke Rhoa with a step on Kelly. Safe shot with Spallina there to back it up.
And a big reason for that is Princeton hasn't been able at the faceoff X to play a little make it, take it lacrosse to string some goals together. So that's why Syracuse, with possession, seems to always have an answer and keeps extending that lead, or at least getting it back to that 4 or 5.
Cole Kirst works it down the goal line, extended. Now back up top, Luke Rhoa. Rhoa defended by Kelly. Over to Spallina. Spallina and Finley has been a fun matchup to watch here today. Midfield, Griffin Cook. Cole Kirst, 6'2", 210. The transfer from Lehigh. Cahal Roberts knocks it free, but draws the flag in the process. So free possession here for Syracuse.
If you've been watching this game, there's no surprise that that was thrown, and Giancola with a nice kick save. Ground ball here will get the whistle, or if it goes out of bounds.
Save number 8 on the Tigers' first-year starter between the pipes, and now Syracuse will go man up for the 5th time this afternoon. Cahal Roberts, number 6.
Take a look here. Looks like they're going to call a hold, which is a tough call because he doesn't really hold him.
White 6, hold 30 seconds.
You know, he did not prevent him from going anywhere other than the contact, but he didn't stay on him and hold him back. I thought it could have actually, I thought the call might have been a push or a trip. The hold is interesting, but nevertheless, all 3 of those are 30-second penalties. So either way, 6 on 5 for the Orange.
Syracuse 2 for 4 on the man-up. They've got the nation's number 4 man-up scoring offense. Joey Spallina works it on the doorstep. Birtwistle with another one. Spallina's the nation's leader in man-up goals. Jackson
Syracuse
Birtwistle is second.
And a lot of flags today, so a lot of easy goals. This one really low angle. And right when you think Birtwistle's looking across the crease, well, there's no one there to look at, but kind of a no-look low-to-low beats Giancola.
8th man-up goal of the season for the redshirt sophomore out of Radnor High School, not too far from Princeton. Lethal shooter, well above 40% in his career. He's got a couple today. Face-off win for the Tigers, just their 5th of the contest. Stevens has 2 goals. He thought about it. Instead, will kick it out to the wing and curl off to the sideline to get Vardaro and Slusher in.
Slusher let one go with time and space, just was not a quality shot. He went right to the stick side of Will Mark.
Vardaro on the move, beats him low, and the Tigers once again within 3. You had mentioned it, Vardaro had been kind of quiet after he scored his 100th career point last week.
He's had time and space today. It almost seems like he's just been reluctant to let one go, but from that position on the field, you gotta let it rip, and it's really well placed on Will Mark, 6'3", 205 goaltender, and a righty. So where do you go? You go low and away.
First goal of the day for the senior from Long Island on his first shot. He's also got a couple of assists. 15 goals, 17 assists for Vardaro, up above 30 points once again. Second straight clean face-off win. Kobe Ginder doing it himself. A little bit of momentum for the Tigers as they try to whittle it down to 2 here late in the second quarter.
This is how you string it together. Nice goal, get the ball back, feed the hot hand. Here's 19, fresh off that goal. Slusher is going to come on.
Trying to get Jake Stevens off the field, and they finally do.
Short stick matchup, full head of steam for number 5.
Saw Sam English running with the second midfielder, the first midfield early today. Haven't really seen him since that collision early in the contest that resulted in a penalty. Shot fired in by Mackesy, backed up by Vardaro. Here's Vardaro.
Mackesy up top, Ringhofer doing what he does inside the crease, just trying to find a seam. Syracuse's defense doing a nice job of when Princeton bunches into the crease like they are right now, in matching that.
Mackesy with a long bounce and the fist pump, and we've got a 2-goal game. Coulter Mackesy the last 2 weeks, the Ivy League Player of the Week. He's got 2 goals this afternoon against the Orange.
And what you like about Coulter Mackesy is when he doesn't have it in his strong hand, that being the left, he uses the turf to his advantage because he doesn't have the tempo on the shot with the right hand that he has with the left, so he confuses the goalie by using the turf. A nice bounce shot, just like they teach you. Gets the Tigers within 2.
Mackesy last year as a freshman had 43 goals. That was the 4th most. I should say 43 points. 4th most in a season by a Princeton freshman. Whistle on the face-off, possession to the Tigers.
This is the first time that the Tigers are stringing together possessions.
Tigers have 2 in a row and 4 of the last 6 as Stevens bidding for the hat trick.
And the fans were ready to go nuts when Stevens let that one go. The Princeton lacrosse alumni, they have a standing section down behind the bench.
Speaking of standing room only today, the grandstand full, and then you've got fans lined up along the fence down past the stands on either side. First time these teams have played since 2013. Jake Stevens through traffic. Mackesy against Kakemo, gets under the defense, gets pushed below goal line, extended by Carter Rice, number 12.
Great job by Carter Rice.
Second midfield, Sean Cameron with the goal, and it's a 1-goal game. 3 straight for the Tigers.
That's what the crowd was waiting for. Get this within 1.
Brother had a pretty good night last night for Rutgers.
Yeah, Rutgers with a big win up in Piscataway in overtime against Michigan to notch a Big Ten win, and Sean Cameron gets it done here today at a big point in the game for the Princeton Tigers, and a little funky dance to celebrate.
5th goal of the season for Cameron, the sophomore out of Bishop Girton up in New Hampshire.
And again, what has sparked this? Face-offs, getting possessions. Nothing there. Both players kind of fell there. This is a good old-fashioned scrum. This is old school lacrosse at its best. That one's going to be a push, though, on Bo Pedersen.
So eventually possession awarded to the Orange, now with just a 1-goal lead. Syracuse led by as many as 4. Princeton, though, has scored 3 in a row. Game that's had a little bit of everything. We haven't talked a lot about the goaltending, and you would think, okay, 10-9, high-scoring game first half. Gianfroccaro's got 8 saves. Mark has 10.
A lot of these stats outside of the face-offs, which are lopsided 14-7 in favor of the Orange. Shots 26-24 in favor of the Orange. Saves 10-8 in favor of the Orange.
Simmons trying to speed across the back of the defense, took a very high hit that draws the flag. Shot across the back of the cage on the feed from Spallina, high out of the stick of Hiltz, but Syracuse will go man up for the 6th time here in the first half.
And it looks like it's going to be Cahal Roberts again.
Number 6, Slut. 1 minute 60.
So he had the cross check, and this time it's the slash. He is an imposing force physically on defense. He's got to get this under control, especially with how frequently we're seeing flags fly. Not exactly, letting them play, but these are legitimate calls as well.
Syracuse 3 for 5 with the extra man. Spallina, the nation's leading man-up scorer, has a goal. Jackson Birtwistle, 2nd in the nation in man-up scoring. He has a goal. Watch number 22 and number 9.
If you're Syracuse, you're just going to keep taking these man-up opportunities as they're given to you. And if you're Princeton, you get within 1, and to give away another 6-on-5, and potentially, with how efficient Syracuse can be with the skill they have on offense, the potential to give up an easy goal and let Syracuse get back up too. It's just not the recipe for the comeback.
Officials were waiting for them to put the 1-minute man up on the scoreboard. So now that that's all set, Syracuse will start it on the whistle.
Spallina on a backside, camping on the crease. Got to keep an eye on him again. Saw it earlier.
They had Joe Jungerkiss, 13, slide to him. Spallina gets it. Jungerkiss, though, closes out.
That's all you need to do.
Out in front, Spallina to Birtwistle, turned aside, Gianfrocaro. Back behind the back pass, Spallina across the crease to Leo. Freshman to freshman, pass was behind the back. The feed got Gianfroccaro's head on a swivel.
Not going to see the ball move faster than that in what was a highlight save for Gianfrocaro. Syracuse follows it up with their flashiest goal of the day. Spallina gets cut off. He gets pushed behind goal line extended. What a job there. But then tic-tac-toe.
Simmons the transfer to Spallina. Leo buries that one, the freshman with the goal. 2-goal lead for Syracuse as we approach the 1-minute mark here in the second quarter.
Here's Kirst.
4 man-up goals today for the Orange here in the first half, 1 shy of their season high. They had 5 man-up tallies in that loss to North Carolina.
Syracuse with 58 on the shot clock and 50 on the game clock. They would love to hold for the last shot of this half and go in to the locker room with at least this 2-goal lead, if not 3.
Ten-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock, so the shot clock not a factor here at the end of the half as Hughes lets it fly. Backed up by Joey Spallina with 27 seconds to go. Spallina trying to get a step on Finley. He's got the first half hat trick. Shot, tough angle, goal by number 22.
And Finley went for a check, and it actually allowed Spallina to get top side, which is the last thing you want 22 to get if you're the Princeton defense. Take a look. Finley, that stick, when he goes over Spallina, it allows Spallina to roll, increase his angle, move to the left hand, and put one home. And with 15 seconds in the second quarter before halftime, Syracuse puts home a dagger.
Kobe Ginder wins it for the Tigers against Jack Fine. 10 seconds to go. Here comes Princeton with Jake Stevens. He's got 2 goals today. Stevens has it knocked away by Saam Olexo. Syracuse picks up the 50-50 ball. Kakemo seeks refuge in the corner as the first half comes to an end. Gary Gate in the orange on the road, lead by 3 at the half, 12-9.
What a game for an age-old rivalry. And these two teams going at it. Syracuse playing with a sense of urgency and a must-win for the Orange, up 12-9 at the half. Cody, you said it. Syracuse came in with a must-win mentality, and they are playing with that urgency.
Couple of stats to keep an eye on. The face-offs, 15-8 in favor of Syracuse, and then those man-up numbers we've seen. 9 man-up opportunities resulting in 7 goals as we take a look at the halftime stats presented by Ironworkers Local 399, local skilled craftsmen who are building Princeton's future.
Yeah, I think, thinking about what was talked about in the locker rooms, you got to say they're throwing the flags today. You got to play disciplined lacrosse for the Princeton Tigers. We'll see. They were able to string together some face-off wins late in that half, which sparked a comeback. Syracuse had an answer late to extend the lead back to 3. But does Princeton see if they can win a couple faceoffs? And if they can't, do they take more of a defensive stance to try to force ground balls at midfield, rather than trying to win the faceoffs just outright and clean? But needless to say, man up and faceoffs are going to tell the tale here in the second half in what should be a tremendous, tremendous third and fourth quarter.
Ivy League out-of-town scoreboard. It's Cornell and Harvard tied up at 4. C.J. Kirst just 1 for 8 shooting in that one. Just underway in New Haven. That was a 1 o'clock start. 2-1 Yale with an early victory. And then really a critical matchup up in Providence. 8-6 Penn, one of those teams tied at 2-1. Brown trying to avoid an 0-3 start in Ivy League play. Yale already 0-3. Everybody else sort of in the mix, but a must-win for Yale and a really need-to-win for Brown today.
Yeah, it's hard to guess it.
It's got to be a better way to describe that.
Yeah, you'd think Dartmouth gets its first Ivy League win since 2015 over Harvard, so Harvard should lose to Cornell, but they're tied up. It's tough. It's a very tough league. In this 7-team league, again, Columbia, the only member of the Ancient Eight without a Division I men's lacrosse program, but they will host the tournament up in New York.
Couldn't possibly have a more neutral site.
Yeah. A lot of Ivy League alums in the area, regardless of alma mater, so it should be a good turnout.
Cornell does, or I should say Columbia does have a women's lacrosse team. Kind of an interesting storyline coming up. Columbia women taking on the Princeton women here later today as Ronda rolls the shot in. Bob Syracuse, head football coach at Princeton. His daughter, Allie, a freshman on the Columbia lacrosse team. So I know everybody kind of waiting to see what Coach Syracuse rolls in wearing. Your guess was something very neutral.
Yeah, I would say whatever the most neutral is, and I suspect he'll be standing off to the side or something. Does he pick a side? I mean, there's a lot of variables there for Coach Bob Syracuse.
Pass out to Ronda, intercepted. Brandon Avila's with the takeaway and the push across midfield for Syracuse.
Yeah, tremendous day of lacrosse here. A great turnout for this age-old rivalry between Syracuse and Princeton. Standing room only. Remind you the old days here at Class of 52 Stadium with the sun out. And then the Princeton-Columbia women's game. You talk about Coach Syracuse' daughter starting for the Columbia Lions, an alum of Princeton Day School, so you know some of the Princeton Day School Panthers will be out here rooting her on as well.
That was just the 5th turnover by Matt Madelon's squad, who's played a pretty clean game outside of all the flags they've drawn. 12-9, Syracuse on top. The Orange has led by as many as 4. Princeton cut it to 1 late in the first half. Hiltz gets it to Spallina. They've got Pace Billings on him to start the second half. Billings on Spallina. Finley on Hiltz, and the man we didn't mention, Cole Kirst, gets the hands free and gets the Syracuse lead back to 4.
Cole Kirst, the transfer from Lehigh, back in his home state, native of Bernardsville, and number 40 can let it fly. A big body out there. He is a force to be reckoned with, and he shows you there, just powers it by Giancola.
Cole Kirst, the transfer from Lehigh, 81 points in just 47 games over 4 seasons for Kevin Cassis and the Mountain Hawks. 17th goal of the season, second today for Syracuse. Another face-off violation awarding possession to the Orange.
Still one more Kirst in the high school pipeline, committed to Rutgers.
CJ, of course, the nation's leading scorer for Cornell, held in check so far today by Harvard. Colin was a goalie at Lehigh and then played his final 2 seasons as the starter up in Piscataway for Rutgers. Dave mentioned earlier their late father, a lacrosse Hall of Famer in the Garden State.
When you add all those years of eligibility and all those Kirsts, it just seems like they've been on so many teams the past few years, and they've had an impact no matter where they've been. Kirst backs this one up for Syracuse as the shot goes high, and he will restart in the near alley.
Tough angle that time by Spallina, but a safe shot. Still 38 on the shot clock for Syracuse. Kirst bodied up by Stabner. Flag comes in on the Tigers senior.
And that's probably going to be a hold as well. And it's tough because Kirst, he's such a big body. You got to try to play defense, and
Jacob Stabner, number 28. He's a big body, 6'3", 205, a senior out of Westlake High School in Austin, Texas. Had started the last 4 games with Pace Billings out of the lineup. Syracuse today, that was one of the stories in the first half. 4 for 6 with the man up. They've scored 4 man-up goals in a game for the 4th time in a game this season. Hiltz tried to rifle it through traffic. Bather Billings got a stick on it. Here comes Bo Pettersson with the ground ball in the push.
And that cross-field pass was just not there. A lot of traffic. 2 Tigers in the way of that one. So Tigers clear. Bo Pettersson takes it behind the goal. And they go back to even strength. Christian Ronda comes in up top.
Coulter Mackesy. Kakemo pushes out on him. Mackesy waiting for Alex Slusher to run out of the box.
You'd really like to see Slusher take advantage of these short stick matchups. Again, Slusher, a starting attackman, one of the leading scorers coming into the season, injured the last few games. That's a very high hit. Vardaro gets one home.
Vardaro draws the flag, recovers, gets underneath the defense, and rolls it home for the goal to make it 13-10.
How about that? Fights through this one. That's a high hit. That could be multiple minutes. We'll see, but it'll be the goal. So cross check, 1 minute. Back to the face-off. I thought they could have called one of those unnecessary roughness, which is really at the official's discretion. You could see as many as 3 minutes, depending on the severity.
It was one of the rule changes, and really that refers to contact to the head and neck. They now leave it up to the official. If it's excessive, it's 3 minutes direct contact, 2 minutes indirect. It's a 1 minute penalty.
And I got one replay on that, but at first blush looked like you could have made the case. That's head and neck.
Tigers once again within 3. They've trailed by as many as 4. They've been as close as 1. Still 40 seconds on the man up. Braden Saris, Weston Carpenter. Here's Tommy Barnds with a really good look from about 10 yards out. Carpenter there to back it up.
And the right idea by 21 to go low and away, again, against the big righty, Will Mark.
Tommy Barnds gives it up to Vardaro, gets it back. Now here's Carpenter, who tried to step into it but left the ball behind him. Down on the turf, Caden Cole with the ground ball for the Orange. They work it through the defense and back up across midfield with 10 seconds left on the penalty.
Nice job by the Orange.
That was Billy Dwan, number 35, the freshman, who thought about it but instead decided to just get it out to the wing. Ball on the turf, Finley with the takeaway, works it to Pace Billings in front of the empty Princeton net. Tigers catch a break. Good job to scoop it up and get it up ahead by Pace Billings, number 3.
Here's Mackesy. Trips up just a little bit, but decides to slow it down. Ronda's going to come on, and looks like they'll try to get Slusher as well. So Slusher certainly getting time on the field, and they feel that, you know, he can take a hit today. Came in. They said he was feeling good, but you got to see him in game action to know just how good he's feeling. Here's Vardaro, full head of steam. He can shoot from there.
Vardaro on the run, saved by Mark. That's his 11th of the day, first in the second half. Bides his time and gets it up to the top side. And now we'll take a look at this Princeton ride. Maybe the most impressive play in that Brown win last week was the ride by Coulter. Mackesy caused the turnover and converted it into a goal, but Syracuse able to clear it.
It really was, and that just shows Mackesy expanding his game. Burst onto the scene in a game against Rutgers as a freshman last year that really changed the complexion of the team, not only from a roster perspective, but sparked that Final Four run. He was just Mr. Consistent on offense as a freshman. He's expanded his game as a sophomore.
Princeton last year, you want to know how good the Ivy League was? They got 6 teams in the NCAA tournament. Princeton didn't make the Ivy League tournament, but lost to Maryland in the national semifinal. On the move, Luke Rhoa, another goal by a Syracuse freshman. And the Q's lead back up to 4, 14-10.
Well, Jungerkiss goes for defense, breaks his stick, so he needs to run off the field. Can't play without a stick. And a beautiful finish, stick side, low for Rhoa against Giancola. Puts Syracuse back up by 4. Back to the face-off X we go again. 16 face-off wins for Syracuse, just 10 for the Princeton Tigers. Kobe Ginder in there, 99 for the Tigers. And Syracuse with an easy push-it-forward win.
8 of their 14 goals by first-year players, led by 4 by Spallina. 14-10 Orange on top. Face-offs now 18-10 in favor of Syracuse. It's been Jack Fine out there. Johnny Rachusa, the sophomore transfer out of Canisius, is their primary face-off man for the early part of the season. In the past couple of weeks has given way to Fine.
Yeah, Princeton's cut into this lead, but Syracuse just seemingly always finding a way, mostly due to the possessions at the face-off X, of getting it back to that comfortable 4-goal lead. What a cut by Spallina, but he's unable to finish. He cut behind the head of the defender when the defender wasn't looking. That's just beautiful X's and O's by the freshman.
Yeah, that was that 2-man game. Spallina and Leo, a couple of first-year players. Beautifully set up, couldn't convert, but they'll get another crack at it. Here's Leo being lashed at by Fairback. 25 on the Syracuse shot clock.
Michael Kelly and Cahal Roberts trying to handle this Syracuse 2-man game, and a good job there.
Simmons tried the fake to Hiltz. Tigers didn't bite. Here's Simmons. Shot clock down the 10. Shovel pass. Shot sniped out of the air by Giancola.
Yeah, Giancola looking for that breakout quick pass to push transition. Syracuse did a nice job of bearing down and not allowing it. So more of a traditional clear here as Billings gets it towards midfield and will find his teammate Michael Kelly.
Kelly gets it over to Mackesy. Second midfield line checks in. Cameron's got a goal today. He'll be joined by Tommy Barnds. And Jake Stevens already out there.
Princeton's got to find a way to cut back into this lead, get it back to 2 or 1. Because Syracuse has proven they can just keep pounding on the offensive side. Here's Stevens. How about that defense?
Brandon Aviles Injured earlier in the season. He's back playing in his 7th game since returning from that injury. He's one of the best defensive midfielders in the nation. Cameron's got his 2nd of the day, and once again the Tigers within 3.
Great job by Cameron with the shot on the run. Good pace, and beats the very tall goalie, Will Mark, high to high, which is easier said than done. Take a look. Make sure he has possession. Quick release. And the Tigers cut it to 3 here at home.
8 of the 14 goals today for Syracuse scored by first-year players. Spallina's got 4. These are the numbers coming into today. Alex Simmons, the transfer. Kirst is a transfer. So they've got 10 transfers on the roster, including 4 starters. Aside from that, just a really, really young group out there. 80% of their scoring coming from guys who weren't on the team last year. They were either injured, they were playing for another school, or they were still in high school.
Yeah, the future is bright for the Syracuse Orange, regardless of what happens in the last very tough 4 games. No call there on the hit on Giancola. The pass goes out of bounds. Syracuse will take over. Really nice job there by Syracuse of pressuring and not getting called for that penalty. So they, with a 3-goal lead, find an answer in a way to get that possession back and not allowing Princeton to get back-to-back goals too quickly.
7 Princeton turnovers, 6 caused turnovers. Shot whistles high from Birtwistle.
Birtwistle put a lot on that. He had nobody between he and the goal.
They had Finley on Spallina in the first half. Here in the second half, it's been Pace Billings, his first start since the Georgetown game a month ago. Rhoa across the top of the defense. Marquez White bodies him up.
Great job by Marquez White.
Rhoa number 8, another one of those freshmen here. Spallina inverting, feeds from the top of the box, and Kirst scores. Back to a 4-goal Syracuse lead here late in the 3rd.
It's not often you say that the grad student might have taken notes from the freshman, but Spallina with the feed this time, and a Spallina-esque goal by Kirst with a low angle, low to low on goal line extended. And
first time we've really seen Spallina initiate from that part of the field.
and he's, that part of his game is obviously going to grow throughout his career, but what he's able to do in close and at X is scary. That's going to be a push on Princeton, and again, Syracuse is going to find a way to score and get possession right back, and that's been the story of why they just keep having this 4-goal lead. They're just hovering there. Princeton just unable to close the door. Did so in the first half a bit, but Syracuse kind of back to the identity they've proven to have today. Look at Kirst, just wants to put his shoulder in and run through people.
Owen Hiltz came into the day second on the team in goals and points. He's a redshirt sophomore out of Ontario, missed all of last season with a preseason injury. Just had a remarkable freshman campaign, 48 points as a freshman 2 years ago. On the doorstep with a head of steam, Michael Leo, and he stepped in the crease, so it'll go back to Princeton.
He was not pushed in the crease, went in on his own. Had the ball cross the goal line before he got in the crease, it would have been good, but no goal and a turnover here by Cuse. Here comes Christian Ronda along the near sideline. He's going to win the race and clear on his own.
Ronda had a step on Carter Rice, the two number 12s doing battle on the near sideline. 4-goal lead by Syracuse, matches their largest of the contest. Princeton was within one late in the first half, and here in the third quarter, Syracuse gaining some ground. Slusher running out of the box, started as a second midfielder, and then we haven't seen Sam English since the game's opening quarter. So Slusher back on the first midfield line. First time he's run as a midfielder since 2020. Lucas Stanit. Pass through Vardaro out to Mackesy with the shot clock under 30.
Mackesy, right place, right time there.
Christian Ronda, short stick matchup against Aviles. Has a cutter on the crease. It was Ringhofer turned aside by Mark.
Yeah, Love the cut by Ringhofer, and you know he would have loved to put that home and pull Princeton within 3, but he's just got to keep doing that. Keep the Syracuse defense with their head on a swivel and worried about 51.
Mackesy bodied up. I don't know how he found some daylight there, but he sneaks it past. He was below goal line extended, right?
It sure seemed that he was, but comes across the face with the left hand and just jams it in there, just forces it. It almost looks impossible, but you know what? Will Mark came off of the post just enough. If Mark hugs that post, there's no way that he's getting it by the 6'3", 205-pound goaltender, but he gave him a little space, and Mackesy found it.
Mark made 10 saves in the first half. He's made just 1 here in the second half. Coulter Mackesy's got the hat trick once again.
Big
Mackesy,
opportunity.
Back-to-back weeks, the Ivy League Player of the Week. He's now had 3 goals or more in 8 of 9 games this season. Just a sophomore for the Tigers. Princeton down by 3. Christian Ronda gets it to Vardaro. Now over to Mackesy against Kakemo. A couple of sophomores doing battle. Now Slusher out in the midfield.
Got to think Slusher wants to go against a short stick and initiate the dodge. Here he goes.
Against Jake Murphy, has a step on number 16 who forces him below goal line extended. Slusher against Murphy.
He's getting him hung up, and he's just... There's Ronda.
Ronda let it fly. Rebound off Mark, right to Slusher. Shot clock didn't reset, so it never got the goalie. Slusher takes some contact, lost his footing, and an easy save for the senior.
Nice clear by Syracuse, making it look easy. As they maintain that 3-goal lead, Spallina handles and gets it up to Kirst.
Final 2 minutes in the third quarter. Griffin Cook has it lashed away from behind by Cahal Roberts.
Here's Bo Pedersen.
Pedersen with another ground ball. He'll head to the races up the far sideline, bounces off the contact and clears it in for the Tigers. Pedersen to Kelly, lets it fly, and on the short hop, Mark with the save.
Great save by Will Mark. That would have been a big momentum boost for the Princeton Tigers. How about Bo Pedersen fighting through kind of an ice pick check that caught him on the leg. Surprised you didn't see some sort of call there. A little bit reckless.
Bo Pedersen's got 3 ground balls and it caused turnover today. One of the better defensive midfielders in college lacrosse. 1 minute to go in the third quarter. It was a 3-goal Syracuse lead at the half. It's a 3-goal Syracuse lead 14 minutes later.
What a pass.
Tried for the behind the back. That was Birtwistle missing it wide with Spallina backing up.
And you just see a lot of this in-tight box lacrosse-esque passing by the Syracuse Orange, getting it in close. Tic-tac-toe passing, quick release is so hard for a defense and goaltender to catch up.
Spallina had him hung up, playing catch with Hiltz on the near side wing. Spallina back to Hiltz, tough angle. Giancola sniffed it out.
Well, and you see the difference there. Giancola was hugging the pipe. He literally ran into it, cut off all angle. That was an impossible shot with Giancola placed well in the goal. There is a flag down on the defensive half of the field, so Princeton with a little bit of a free possession here. They'll get their best 6, try to cut this to 2. 15 seconds to go.
Here's Stevens, fires high, Ringhofer. Under 10 feet out in front, and a Princeton goal by Tommy Barnds. Wasn't a man-up situation. They essentially had the man-up unit out there with the flag down on the defensive end, and the Tigers are back within 2.
And a huge goal at a huge time. Ringhofer, we've seen what he can do off ball, cutting towards the crease. Well, how about this? The distribution into the crease finds his buddy Tommy Barnds. who finds the back of the cage, and we have got a dandy. A 2-goal game between Princeton and Syracuse reminds you a lot of some of the best games college lacrosse has ever seen between these two teams.
Talked about it, they've met 4 times in the NCAA championship game, including 3 straight years, 2000, 2001, 2002. First time they've locked horns in a decade since 2013. It was a 3-goal Syracuse lead at the half. That late goal with the flag down by Tommy Barnds pulls the Tigers within 2. 15-13, Orange on top. Barnds with the goal to pull it within 2. Only 5 teams in the ACC on the men's lacrosse side, so no automatic qualifier. That means you need the at-large bid to get in. They've got 4 of the top 7, as you can see at the bottom. As far as RPI, Duke alone atop the ACC standings at 3-0. How about the game coming up at 4 o'clock today? Number 1 Duke on the road in South Bend against number 2 Notre Dame.
It seems like every week when there's jostling for position at the top, you get number 1 versus number 2 a couple weeks in a row. And today, that's going to be a very, very special one.
I'd say this is as wide open as the tournament field is going to be. Last year heading in, it was okay. It's Maryland, and then can anybody beat Maryland? Here, who's the favorite? If you ask 10 people, you might get 5 or 6 answers.
You're absolutely right. And how about Maryland? Down big against Ohio State, and they squeak it out last night. And a lot of chatter about it on Twitter, that's for sure.
Something about a glove. Face-offs now 20-13 in favor of Syracuse, as Princeton got a couple of goals late to cut it to 2. Another broken stick by a Tiger. This time it's Bo Pettersson. Essentially gives the Orange a man up, and the shot behind the back whistled wide. Junger Kiss will come on, and the officials blow the whistle to pick up the stick and move it off the field.
Yeah, absolutely right, Cody. If you're Syracuse, you know that's happening. Bo Pettersson's going to have to come all the way off the field before they can get another defender on, so you are man up for probably a good 10-plus seconds.
Spallina has him hung up right out in front. Easy goal scored by Finn Thomson. Once again, there's that freshman connection. 3rd goal of the day for Finn Thomson, the freshman from Toronto.
A little give and go, right back to the crease, and Pace Billings gets caught ball watching a bit, cuts right behind Billings, finds his way home, does Finn Thomson. Really nice job of reading the defense, both on the pass and the shot by the Syracuse Orange. And Pat March's offense is rolling today, and they've had the man-up opportunities to help them do so as well.
3 freshmen on attack were top 30 recruits, according to Inside Lacrosse. Michael Leo, number 26. Finn Thomson, number 5. Joey Spallina, as we've mentioned a couple times, the number 1 recruit. Finn Thomson, all 3 of his older brothers played Division I lacrosse, all in Marquette, 2 of them playing in the NLL. Tanner with the Albany Firewolves and Keaton with the Halifax Thunderbirds. Finn Thomson just getting his career started. He's got 3 goals today to give him 17 in his rookie campaign. Billings deflects that one out of bounds. It'll stay with Syracuse.
Billings missed some time. You see the sleeve on the left leg.
Kind of a freak injury late in that Georgetown game. Luke Rhoa gets a step on Fairback, tries to shovel it in. Almost launches it out of the venue, but it'll stay with the Orange.
Well, given it's a sellout here, there might be some folks on the outside of that fence watching this game.
After the restart, Spallina puts it on the turf, but gets it to a teammate in Birtwistle. Shots 44-35 in favor of Syracuse. Pass down low. Kirst turned aside by Giancola, who makes his 12th save. And then Stavener cut off trying to get to the ball.
What a job by the goaltender, Michael Giancola. You thought the shot was going to come hot and heavy from up top. Instead, Dish down to the crease, and Giancola shuts the door.
Save and the ball going out of bounds. Gave them a fresh shot clock. Behind the back shot. Jackson Birtwistle can't sneak it past, and Giancola is able to maintain the handle and get it up ahead to Fairback.
You mentioned the NLL. This looks like an NLL game when Syracuse is on offense. Just echoes box lacrosse.
16-13, Princeton down by 3. That's been a familiar spot for Matt Madelon's team here this afternoon.
Credit to Syracuse, just keeping it there.
Ooh. Home game number 7 on the season for the Tigers. Mackesy has the stick lifted, but standing there to back it up. Talk about the schedule Matt Madelon put together. This is the final non-conference game for Princeton. Prior to today, the Tigers had played 7 straight against teams that played in the NCAA tournament a year ago. Syracuse not one of those teams, although Syracuse is Syracuse. Shot by Ronda, saved by Mark. Friendly carom for the Orange right into the stick of Billy Dwan.
This one's tall. Is it too tall? Not quite.
Carter Rice able to catch up and carry in for Syracuse.
Great save by the goaltender, Will Mark. He's had a tremendous game with 14 saves today. Giancola with 12 saves of his own. So the goaltenders having themselves some days, but it's also 16-13, so a lot of goals too.
This is a light day, relatively speaking, for Will Mark. Told you a transfer from LIU. He was a 2-time NEC player, Defensive Player of the Year. Had a 30-save game against Bryant in 2021. Low shot, save, Giancola, number 13 for him.
Giancola did a nice job. He was actually outside of the cage trying to hang up the ex-attackman. Does a nice job of getting back in the cage, knowing where he is, and making a save. And Ringhofer cannot corral it on the doorstep, but this one's going to be Princeton's ball regardless, as Syracuse couldn't handle.
Beautiful pass in by the senior polka, Hall Roberts.
Ringhofer, I think, just does such a good job of getting open in tight spaces. He doesn't even look open, but you can tell he's earned the trust of his teammates.
Ringhofer, just a sophomore out of Aurora, Colorado. Regis Jesuit. Here's Stan at the tall lefty on the doorstep. Ringhofer has it taken away by Will Mark, who's fired up.
He is fired up, and rightfully so. Flies across the cage to make this save. Dave Petramala's fired up.
Michael Leo in the midfield, raising the right arm and calling out the offense. Joseph Junger, kiss number 13, draped on him. Here comes Leo looking for Spallina, now up top. Kirst lowers the shoulder, draws the slide. And back to Spallina. Pace Billings has done a nice job on number 22 here in the second half.
You can do a nice job on 22 and he can still have a ton of points, and that's a credit to both players.
Out in front behind the back by the aforementioned Joey Spallina. Wide with 11 on the shot clock.
Remember back in the day, you take a shot like that in a game, you are benched. In today's game, these players are so good. They've got the green light to do whatever they want.
Shot clock down to 5. Wow. Simmons through traffic, can't connect with the cutting Owen Hiltz as Syracuse turns it over.
You had a great angle of that from the booth. Looked like a crossing route between two linebackers.
Yeah, slot receiver Owen Hiltz. 5'8", 180, that's about the frame. Vardaro up the near sideline, gets a step on his defender, Brandon Aviles. Waiting for his friends, Christian Ronda, Alex Slusher, the other two members of that top midfield line for most of this one. Slusher's had the short stick all day. More often than not, it's been either Carter Rice or Jake Murphy. Slusher, first time we've seen him in a few weeks, has been battling a shoulder injury. Ronda, bouncer, off the mark, but Slusher there to back it up.
Impressive shot by Ronda to get that much on it. On the run, running towards the sideline.
Christian Ronda really coming on strong. Doesn't have a goal today. He's 0 for 5 shooting, but Ronda had 10 goals the last 4 games.
Here's Mackesy.
Coming up on the midway point in the fourth quarter, 3-goal game. Ronda puts it on the left side and whistles it wide.
Ronda got a lot on it with the right hand that time. Good pace with the left. Showing you what he can do with both hands from up top, keeping Syracuse's defense on its toes. 2-man game, Slusher picks for Mackesy.
Mackesy turns the corner, hits the defender in the back of the helmet, right place at the right time. Syracuse with a clean pickup in their own end, up ahead to Dwan.
Syracuse just playing sound defense and forcing Princeton to make some mistakes by, to your point, just playing kind of positional defense, not taking big chances, just staying in position and making it too tough for Mackesy to get that jump shot off.
Carter Rice carries in, being lashed at by Cahal Roberts. Billings will press out on Spallina, who holds right off that Princeton midfield logo. See what Syracuse is thinking here with number 22 in the midfield. Now he'll drop back down. Here's Rhoa, step on his man, gets the short stick with Pedersen.
He blew right past Marquez White.
Cole Kirst, the Lehigh transfer. Talk about a physical matchup.
Just about to say it, what a matchup.
Birtwistle tried to sting the top corner. Save made, Giancola, give him 14, and here comes Marquez White.
Great hustle by Syracuse.
White gets it back. Bo Pedersen.
They're going to double Pedersen. Pedersen
gets the hands free. Sends it wide. Ringhofer there to backstop.
Good job by Pedersen fighting through that, getting the shot off.
Shows you just how strong number 23 is to fight off that double.
Bob Serace is here early. Football coach here, Bo Pedersen. He will initiate contact.
A little bit of a pass behind Coulter Mackesy. Princeton with another turnover. They'll get it to Mark. He'll feather it up the field. Both of these goalies so good at starting to clear.
They really are, and Syracuse's defense just doing such a good job again of just keeping this 3-goal lead and not allowing Princeton to get that big goal that you feel like they really need at this juncture in the game with under 6 minutes to play, down 3.
Talk a lot about the transfer portal. That's been one of the fun pieces of it, to see a guy like Will Mark, who really flew under the radar at LIU, making the jump from Division II to Division I, and kind of that rebrand, and now you get to see him in a Syracuse uniform playing in a game like this.
And that's going to be interference call, so Princeton's going to look for the quick restart and ask him to take a step back. Then the whistle will go, and Princeton will get an easy clear, but an easy clear is one thing. What hasn't been easy has been goals here in this third quarter and trying to get this to a 2-goal game.
Big possession for Princeton. It'll be the second midfield. Cameron's got a couple of goals. Barnds had a big one in the third quarter, and Jake Stevens has 2. Coulter Mackesy at the top of the box. Over to Tommy Barnds. Barnds fires the shot wide, backed up by Stanett.
Stannett's been relatively quiet today. He's had 2 really good games against Yale and Brown, but Syracuse doing a nice job on him. This is Mackesy's shot.
Stanett to back it up again. Mackesy 11 shots, 3 goals to show for it for the sophomore. Had 8 goals and 10 points, a career best in both categories 2 weeks ago in that 13-goal victory against Yale. And then 3 goals, 3 assists last week against Brown. Lucas Stanett using that 6'3" frame to scout it out. Now Jake Stevens.
Great job by the Syracuse defense of coming across goal line, extended.
Really making the Tigers commit.
Really impressed by the communication. Just not allowing Princeton to get hands free. And another one, knockdown pass. What a job
tremendous defensive stand by the Orange, and they'll clear it in as we dip under 4 minutes to play. It's a young Syracuse defense, but it's still a Dave Petramala defense.
Oh, it certainly is. Talk about the dominant defenses he had in his early 2000s at Johns Hopkins. That undefeated season. Wow.
Had to be a little bit strange for Dave to be on the opposite sideline these days in those games against Hopkins.
Yep. I think it's got to be strange for the Hopkins alums to see it too.
2 decades as the head coach of the Blue Jays, now the defensive coordinator in his 2nd season on Gary Gates' staff.
And a tremendous player in his own right for the Blue Jays on defense.
Cole Kirst with Stabner trying to press out. Marcus White gives him one lash. Save Giancola, foot race down on the end line. Spallina tumbled out first.
How about that shot by Kirst? Almost overpowered the stick of Giancola. He was able to just tip it over the crossbar.
Orange, as they recover, if they want, they can hang on and run this under 2 minutes, leading by 3 on the road.
Yeah, Princeton's going to have to take some chances, start doubling early here, down 3 with under 3 to go. In a 1-goal game, no. Play your defense, but eventually you're going to have to take some chances here. Oh,
Simmons, the transfer from Denver, draws the flag.
Yeah, that's not the chance. That could be 2 on
Yeah, that's
Bow.
a 2nd flag coming in. First one was on the outside, 2nd one right in front of the crease on Pedersen. Alex Simmons a little bit slow to get up off the turf.
Yeah, Pedersen trying to play with that sense of urgency, but you knew when he took his bottom hand off the stick there that that was a hold, and then he just kind of goes in and tackles him. So easy call there, and you know when you're taking chances as a defense, that's not really it's really the early slides and the doubles.
Penalties, 23 holds for 30, 23 pushes for 30, 1 minute total, 60 seconds.
So a 1 minute 6-on-5 for the Syracuse Orange with 2:10 to go, 60 on the shot clock.
1 for a hold, 1 for a push, and come in 2-10.
Syracuse will start it in the near alley in front of their own sideline. Doesn't look like the shot clock started.
Outlaw. We got 2:10 on the game clock, 60 on the shot clock, 60 on the power.
So they're going to put 2:10 on game clock, 60 on shot clock, 60 on the penalty. And that's how we'll get going here in the final minutes of this one. Going to get a timeout while they sort out the clock. Matt Madelon wants to talk things over.
Tigers will take the first timeout by either team here in the second half. (16-13), Syracuse on top as we step away. (16-13), Syracuse leading. A big reason the Tigers trail by 3 has been that man, the big 6'3" senior transfer, Will Mark. 15 saves. He came into the day tied for 2nd in the nation in save percentage, and we've seen wide today.
He's had a tremendous, tremendous game. Heroic saves at big moments that have prevented Princeton from really getting back in this one late. Both goalies with 15 saves today. But Will Mark has certainly stood out. Wanted to say in orange, but they're wearing blue today.
Hands off.
Man up for Syracuse. Both of those 30-second penalties were on Bo Pedersen. So Syracuse could run this right around to the 110 mark if they wanted to with this 3-goal lead. Saw Molshine ready to jump that pass. Little stick fake by Finn Thomson. Ball down on the turf. It's Marquez White with it. Tigers need to hustle. Cahal Roberts up the far sideline into Junkerkiss.
Quick goal here and to get back to that face-off X.
Ringhofer turn and
Syracuse
shoot,
ball.
whizzes it high, and a great job hustling out of the cage by Will Mark.
Yeah, Will Mark knew that one wasn't even close and started chasing it barely before it was past the goal line.
That's a tough situation if you're Princeton, because you know that's not the shot you want, but you're running out of time.
Correct. It's really hard to get the quality shot in that circumstance if you're the Princeton Tigers, and now with a minute to go, Syracuse is going to look to run this one out.
Tigers had, I guess you'd call it a 9-man ride with Princeton playing man down as Giancola came out of the cage.
And shot clock and game clock almost identical.
This is going to be a big win for Syracuse. We talked about it. There's no automatic qualifier. They're 0-3 in the ACC. They play on the road the rest of the season. Can't win all 4 if you don't win this one today, and this is going to be a great win for a young Syracuse team on the road against a Princeton team that was in the Final Four last year.
And I think the biggest thing is on the road, because that's where they are the rest of the way. So for this, against a ranked team away from home, to try to spark something for kind of this home stretch for Gary Gait and his squad, this is a huge one, never mind just the implications from a history perspective.
Chaos in the Ivy League standings as Harvard has knocked off the number 4 team in the country, Cornell. 10-8 the final up in Cambridge, so Cornell, who came into this one as the last undefeated Ivy League team, they were 3-0 in the league, 7-1 overall. Here's what Princeton's done so far. Back-to-back wins to open the season, 3 straight losses, or I should say 4 straight losses, all against top 15 opponents. Back on track the last 2 weeks, and then after today, nothing but Ivy League play. Dartmouth on the road. Certainly not an easy matchup. We just told you that Harvard won at home against the number 4 team in the country. Cornell still the number 4 team in the country, so 3 tough games, 2 of them on the road for Matt Madelon's squad the rest of the way. Even coming into today, even if Princeton played lights out and beat Syracuse, realistically their path to the NCAA tournament was by winning the Ivy League tournament.
Yeah, now that number 1 seed, kind of back up for grabs in the Ivies with Cornell with 1 loss, and obviously hosting the tournament isn't up for grabs.
Brown beat Penn, so Penn, if they won, they would have pulled even atop the standings. So now Brown in the win column, and Yale at halftime up big 16-5 at home against Dartmouth. There's the pole. Kistler tried to wedge it in, turned aside by Mark. Save number 16 for him, 6 of them in the second half. Chaos in the final seconds. Princeton goes right back to Cooper Kistler. Mark at save number 17 for good measure, and Syracuse hangs on the road for a 16-13 victory at Princeton.
What a
classic
game.
Matchup between 2 lacrosse blue bloods. The crowd showed up, sold out here today at 52 Stadium. This one had a little bit of everything.
It did. It just brought you back to decades past and rivalries of old, and it's a rivalry renewed, that's for sure. But Syracuse, they came in with a sense of urgency, calling this a playoff game, and they sure played like it. For Princeton, they fall short by 3 goals, but really their season and their postseason will be determined in their last few Ivy League games. That is their path. But for Syracuse, this could spark something special on the road the rest of the way.
16-13, Syracuse wins it on the road at Princeton. We'll be right back to wrap it up and talk to our player of the game. Syracuse, a big road win against Princeton, 16-13, the final score, joined by our player of the game, freshman Joey Spallina. Joey, obviously a critical game for you and your teammates. Talk about how the chemistry has developed. You've got 2 transfers starting on offense. Owen Hiltz, who was out with an injury last year.
Yep.
4 freshmen contributing. Talk about the chemistry and how you guys have really gelled down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely just been growing from game to game. You know, I don't think there's any special thing that's going on. I think we've become best friends, which I think is good. You know, because we're around each other a lot and we're learning each other's tendencies. And yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely starting to play well. And I think today finally showed the world what this team can do. So.
And in talking to folks around the Syracuse program, they viewed this and every game remaining as a playoff game.
No doubt.
You guys came in here with a sense of urgency from the first whistle to the final whistle. What does a game away from home and a big win like this do for you with another tough stretch all the way from home? UNC,
Yep.
UVA, and Duke all ahead.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think this is just one game. You know, I think we're just taking it a game at a time. And, you know, Princeton's a great team and they're well coached, so I think for us to get this win is good, you know, and I think this will maybe propel us forward to win a couple in a row here. So yeah, we're just getting going.
Joey, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
It's our player of the game, Syracuse freshman Joey Spallina. Player of the game presented by the Princeton Chamber of Commerce, where America's best minds have been visiting and meeting for 200 years. 16-13, the final score. Syracuse wins it. Big win for the Orange and for Princeton. Modest 2-game winning streak comes to an end, and now for the Tigers, their focus on the home stretch. 3 games left, all in Ivy League play, 2 of them on the road.
Yeah, big day in Ivy League play. You talk about a couple of upsets already that are going to kind of throw the standings in a little bit of confusion, but there's no confusion for the Princeton Tigers. You got to win every game, try to get that top spot in the Ivy League tournament, which will be played up at Columbia, and see if you can't win it and get that AQ. And for Syracuse, Joey said it, they're taking it one game at a time, but for us in the booth, it's easy to look at these next 3 games kind of in a bubble, but it's hard to draw up a tougher end of the schedule. And if Syracuse can pull off something special, it'll be just that against UNC, UVA, and Duke all on the road.
9 Princeton turnovers today, 8 of them caused by this tenacious Syracuse defense that did not bend at all this afternoon. 17 saves by their transfer goalie Will Mark, and 9 goals by first-year players for the Orange. Syracuse wins it by a final score of 16-13 for our entire crew from Sherrerd Field. And my broadcast partner, Dave Giancola, I am Cody Chrusciel saying so long from Princeton. Syracuse comes out on top 16-13.